welcome. My name is Karen Davis, and thank you very much for the fabulous turnout tonight to come and learn more about our water situation in the City of Glendora. We organized this meeting tonight to try to inform the residents what the City of Glendora is doing in response to the state regulations that were prompted by the governor's executive order. In response to the state mandate, we have adopted an Emergency Drought Response Plan, and tonight we will give you some background on that, speak about the plan, and inform you on what we can do as a community to respond to that. One of the tremendous attributes of the City of Glendora is that when the going gets tough, the citizens get going, and we have made it through fires, floods, all types of situations, the Great Recession, and the list could go on and on of what the residents have pulled together and made their way through difficult times. And so once again, as we face the drought and the state mandates, we are confident that once again, as we pull together as a community, we could meet the challenges that the state has given us. They've given us some pretty steep mandates to respond to, but we're confident that as we work together, we can respond to that. In a minute, we're going to have a presentation from Dave Davies, the Public Works Director, and it's a great thing that he has broad shoulders because the responsibility that has been placed on his shoulders with the state water mandates, along with many other issues facing our city, that Dave has done a tremendous job. Also making a presentation tonight, Valerie Escalante, the assistant to the city manager. And then we also have June Overholt back here from our finance department. She is our finance director, and she will be making a presentation. And so you will be able to get a lot of information from all of them, as well as on both sides of the room, you see the many tables that are there. We have the water division who can teach you about the water meters. We have water conservation that will provide you with water conservation tips, information on our rebate program, or you can sign up for a water audit. We have Three Valleys Municipal Water District, and they'll provide you information about the rebate through MWD. And then over here we have the finance department who can help you access your water bills and look at that. One of the big things that the state is looking for is the per capita daily usage of water by residents. And so they can help you calculate that by looking at your bill. If you aren't able to wait around tonight to have them help you do that, you can leave your email and they can contact you and help you with that. And then also we have Glendora Gardens and Armstrong Garden Center who can answer your questions about how you can redesign your landscape in response to some of the new guidelines and regulations. And finally, we have our Parks Division here who can answer your questions on maintaining your landscape through the drought conditions. Glendora is known as a Tree City USA, so we take great pride in our trees, and the Community Services Department has done a tremendous job in maintaining our trees and our public landscaping, so they have a great depth of knowledge in being able to answer those questions and help you with that. So before we start the presentation, just like to remind you that on your seats there are some index cards. If you have questions, we invite you to write those down. You'll see that we have a very large crowd, so to try to get through our question and answer time, the most efficient and fair way to do that, to allow as many questions to be answered as possible, is to do that with the index cards. So if you write your question down, our cadets are here tonight helping us out. They'll collect those from you. And then after our presentations, we'll have the Q&A time. Our goal is to try to get you out of here by 8:30 at the latest so that you can go to the tables on the side, ask questions, get hands-on information. So again, we thank you for the tremendous turnout. We have another public forum on this on July 9th where we'll answer questions again, or if you have friends or neighbors who weren't able to come tonight, you can invite them to come July 9th. And or you can invite them to view this on the city website. It's being filmed tonight and will be available that way as well. So again, thank you for your participation because this will take all of us working together, and we appreciate your team effort in making this happen. And with that, turn it over to the fabulous Dave Davies.
Good evening. This is a great turnout. Thank you all for coming. I guess the first thing we need to look at is the drought serious? Well, this is Lake Oroville, second largest reservoir in our state reservoir system in a normal condition and in current conditions. So the drought is indeed real, and the state has mandated that we take measures unlike anything we've ever seen. Here is a shot of the governor giving his, looking at the snowpack, and you can see there is none. And this is what precipitated the governor's executive order and the mandate for the restrictions we're going to talk about this evening. This is a typical residential usage pie chart. You can see on this chart it shows about 53% of the use being outdoors. Typically it can be much higher than that. You can see the clothes washers, the showers, and the baths, and the toilets, and so forth. And a little later on, I'll talk to you about some of the rebates we have available for some of these items. But the target for us to meet this mandate is definitely going to be outdoor. That doesn't mean we don't want you to continue to conserve indoor, but the only way we can reach this mandate is going to be by a huge effort outside. So between 2008 and 2014, the city, with our Water Conservation Division's effort, has saved approximately 12%, a little over 12%. During that time, you can see that quite a few people participated in the program. We have over 235,000 square feet of turf removed on city facilities and medians. The amount of water-efficient devices installed and so forth. And it's been a team effort. It's us working with the citizens and the businesses to achieve that. And a perfect example of that is we get asked the question, am I going to get a citation? Well, a citation is a fine. And we've issued over, we call them green tags, and that's a request for corrective action. We've issued well over 7,000 green tags, but we've only averaged about one fine a month. So to get a fine, you're really going to have to just absolutely refuse to help. And so that's not our intent. Our intent here is to work together, to educate, to promote conservation, do everything we can to get you to help us get to the goal. So the state of emergency was declared in January. The executive order issued in April, and then the California State Water Control Board, Resources Control Board, adopted the regulatory framework. We protested the way this went. This is certainly not the way we would have approached it, unfortunately, to no avail. And what we're looking at is residential gallons per capita per day. That's the goal we have to meet. And depending on what city you live in, the reductions are anywhere from 4 to 36%. It's a 9-month period that can be extended. That 36% has to be met every month and cumulatively at the end of the 9-month period in February. So if we don't meet our goal this month, we're behind. We have to make that up. We don't get a free pass. We have to make that up. The city is liable for fines of up to $10,000 per day if we don't meet that reduction, and or cease and desist orders. The unfortunate part of all of this is the methodology chosen by the state, mandated by the state, is a one-size-fits-all methodology. It's, in our opinion, unfair. It's, in our opinion, very difficult to try to comply with. So what we're doing is to try to give you the information to see what you can do to comply. So looking at the different conservation tiers that the state mandated, anywhere from 4%, which 5 suppliers made, and what that meant is they had a 4-year reserve of water available. And then the rest, and we were in the second highest tier, highest group, but the highest tier. So our mandate is 36%. So that means the residential use per day, per person, has to be reduced 36%. That's citywide. The other, for commercial, industrial, institutional, they have to realize a 25% savings. So this is what it looks like. We're being compared to our production in 2013 for each of these months. Another thing that was unfair, in our opinion, was the months that were chosen were the hottest months of the year to compare to. So what we've done is we've broken down the 2013 RGPCD, and we're showing what we have to meet in every household to reach this goal. And you know, we've had, I can tell you right now, our water conservation staff is spending somewhere around 50 hours a week just on phone calls. And we're getting a lot of questions. They're all good questions. We certainly understand it because this is a very difficult thing to try to administer. But one of the biggest questions is, well, I'm already conserving. I'm already doing the best I can do. Well, if you're at or below that target, thank you. We ask you to continue doing that. We won't be contacting you. If there's anything else you can do, we'd love for you to help. But if you're at or below that target, we just thank you. And that's so I don't want you to think, for example, where I live, the purveyor, in my residential per capita number is 60, okay, right now in my house. I have to cut 35%. Where they came up with 35, I don't know. But we're telling you, if you're at or below this goal, you're fine. And we thank you for your efforts.
Is that on the bill?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. And remember, the questions can come in the form of the index card. So here's how you get there. And this is something that we can do over and over with you tonight. This is something we can do when we do a water use efficiency audit. This is something we can do when we do a phone call. We have this handout. I've sent this to you in the mail. So what you look for is first the service period, okay? And that's going to tell you the number of days in your billing period. And then you're going to look at how many units you've used. In this case, 53 units was used. There's 748 gallons in a unit. So looking at the formula up top, the residential gallon per capita per day is taking the usage in units times 748, dividing it by the number of people in your household and the days in the service period, times the days in the service period. And that will give you your residential per capita use per day. So the examples below, a household with 3 people, 53 units times 748, divided by 3 people times 60 days equals 220.24 residential gallons per capita per day. The other example with 4, you can see it gets down to 165. So, you know, this is why it's so difficult and, in our opinion, oftentimes unfair, because there are a lot of households with 1 or 2 people. You have to meet the same goal according to the state. We have no choice to administer that state law. This is really important because a couple of things that we'll show you here subsequently, not only to do this, you have to wait for your bill, right? Well, that's 2 months down the road. I'm going to show you how to do it at home in a week's period, in a 10-day period, or in a 2-week period. It's very simple. So looking for your meter, this is how you're going to do that. Typically, your meter is in the street or the alley. And what we would have you do is open it up, and I'm going to show you how to read the most common meter that we have right now. If you can't find your meter box or unsure whether or not it's yours, call us. And you can call us at 852-4838, and we will tell you. We'll come out. If we don't know where it is, we'll come out and we'll find it for you. It's not uncommon for someone to be looking at the wrong meter. And they could say, well, I know I'm saving water, you know, and so looking at the meter itself, ignore the commas and the dots on the right side. The first 4 digits on the left tell you how many units you're using, okay? And then there's a leak detector on there, and you should always look at that. If that dial is spinning, you have a leak. That's assuming you're not, obviously, you have everything turned off inside the house. And leaks happen without us knowing it. I found one at my house last week. I had a valve go bad. I was fortunate to catch it, so it didn't go for more than a day or so. But there's a lot of water loss with leaks. So remember, it's just the left 4 numbers. In our water division, our water superintendent, Scott Hopkins, is here. He has the meters here, and he can show you so you can understand how to do that, okay? So I'm going to bring this slide back to show you what the formula would look like if you were to read your meter today and you were to read your meter next Thursday, okay? And we had a 7-day period in between. All you would need to do on the formula is to change the days in the service period to 7, okay? Or whatever period you decide to read, and that'll give you that number. And we will also come out and do that for you if you call us. We're going to do a water use efficiency audit if you call us to come out, because we want to find ways to help you conserve. We can tell you whether you have a leak and so forth, and I'll get to that in a minute. But we highly encourage you to look at your meter, do a 1-week or a 10-day, even a 3 or 4-day, especially if it's going to be hot this week, and then now would be a good time to do it. Just open that meter lid, look at the meter, and again, we have the meters here for you to look at. We're happy to show you, and because pictures don't always work so good, and then you can do your own calculation, not have to wait for your water bill. And that way, you'll know right away what your number is. And that's what we ask you, what your number is. So every time we contact you or you contact us, we're going to ask you, what's your number? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the number. We're not looking, we don't have the resources to run around looking for green lawns and knocking on doors. We're going to look for your number, okay? So highly encourage you to look at your meter, either tonight when you get home or tomorrow morning, and give yourself a reminder on the calendar a week from now or 4 or 5 days from now to open that back up and look at it and use this calculation. You all have been sent this calculation in a letter from me, and so you have it at home. But we also have on our website a way for you to go on the website. That'll work with your bill. It doesn't work if you do the shortened one. But if you have your bill and you want to see what it is, you can go on our website. It takes 10 seconds. And you can calculate what that usage is, but that's going to be for an entire billing period. But we encourage you to do this so you don't have to wait 2 months. So our response plan is everything that is mandated by the state plus one additional thing. So the watering is limited to 2 days per week. Restaurants, hotels, bars, and public places cannot serve water unless it's requested. Hotels must offer the option not to have linens washed daily. The hardest part for us and for everyone here, I have the same mandate at my house, is residential gallons per capita per day reduction is 36% over our use in 2013. The other thing that we're having to do with our reporting is reporting production numbers. We're not reporting consumption numbers. And there are a ton of things that happen with that. We lose water, we have leaks. Everyone else outside of the household use has to reduce 25%. So the schools, the country club, the institutions, everyone else has to reduce 25%. And outdoor watering prohibited between 8 and 5 p.m. That was in the original ordinance and remains in our conservation ordinance. To maximize the loss of evaporated water. Okay. So one of the things we're moving forward with is to be able to give you the information you need to monitor your usage is the installation of smart meters. Currently we have 6,500 radio read meters in the ground. So that's a one-way communication, but those will be retrofitted to two-way communication. And then we will be installing approximately 7,000 new smart meters. It's a 2-year plan. Our goal is to go out and get the 6,500 converted immediately as the first part of the project, so we have 6,500 people able to get on this program that I'm going to show you. And then we're going to target the 1,000 largest users and get those meters replaced. And then we keep rolling with it until we get off. There's 13,270 some, I believe, total. But and then everyone will be on that smart meter. What you'll be able to do is have access to your usage by the hour. You can have it sent to your email. You can have alerts sent to your email, to your iPhone, or to your smartphone. It'll tell you if you have a leak. It'll track your usage by the hour and gives you and us more timely usage and information. So I know going through the meter reading to determine your number is a bit of a chore. Once these in, you won't have to do that. It'll be you can access it via computer or a tab or a smartphone. So this is a shot of what you would see once you log on. And in this case, it's showing the usage by the hour, and it's also tracking the weather. So, you know, why would we want to track the weather? Because you want to see what trends you're developing. You would want to see, why am I using so much water in the afternoon? And you go out to the garage and you say, oh, I've got my sprinklers on in the afternoon. That's not the right time to have them on. You know, you want to have them on when it's cooler, and plus you're not allowed to have them on between 8 and 5 anyway, but there's a ton of information available. You get to program it to tell you what you want it to tell you. But the beauty is you won't have to go through any of these exercises to find out what your number is. You can find out your number immediately, and you can track your usage. It'll let you know if you have a leak, and you'll be able to follow that literally by the hour. It reads by the hour. It also has notifications, so if you were to decide to say, you know, I want to know when I hit a certain consumption level, whether it be monthly, weekly, or daily. For example, most three-quarter residentials is in a baseline tier, has a cost for up to 42 units. If you were at 41 units with 3 days left in the billing period, you might want to turn the sprinklers off or cut them down a little bit, and you could avoid going into the discretionary tier. You can save yourself some money. But you'll be able to do this right on the computer. It's very simple to log in, and it's all about your system and what you're doing with your water. And then you can decide how you want to be notified via email, whether a text message. And that way you might be at work. It will tell you if it's showing excessive use. You may be able to detect a leak at work, run home and get that fixed. So for us, Glendora Water Conservation, the most important part is the public outreach and education and partnership with all of you. Our motto, actually state motto, is Californians don't waste water. We'll be putting new mottos on every month or so, short messages just to remind everybody that we have to keep our conservation goals in mind, and we have to reach them. And I believe, having watched this city reduce 12% since we started this in 2008, and 99.9% of it voluntary, because we've done our best to partner with you, and you've done your best to partner with us. We believe we can do this, but it's not going to be easy. The grass is not going to be green. You lose your lawn. You don't have to kill your lawn. You have to be smart in how you do it. But this is going to happen all over the entire state. It's not just Glendora. This is happening in every city in the state. So it's really important we realize that, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's not pleasant. I know that this city can do this, because everything I've tried to do since I've been here, you've done. I have no doubt that you're capable of doing this. I wouldn't have asked you to come out and talk with me this evening if I didn't think so. Oops, sorry. And then, of course, speeding up the installation of the smart meters, which I just talked about. We've expanded our rebate incentives, especially the turf removal program, which has been hugely successful. I can tell you what I've decided to do at my house. I did in the backyard. I did drought tolerant about 5 years ago. I just turned off my sprinklers 2.5 months ago. My consumption's gone down 70%. I'm not saying you have to kill your lawn. I'm going to redo the whole thing. Obviously, I'm not going to have any turf. But the point is, if my front yard can reduce 70%, an effort to do some turf removal and do some drought tolerant plant can reach this goal. And I'll show you some pictures here in a little bit of what this looks like. I'm sure you're seeing it around town. It's very popular. The program's very popular, and it's been hugely successful. We're going to partner with our government entities, specifically the school districts. We are adding additional staff. We're focusing and targeting the biggest users. 11% of our consumption is used by the top 41 users out of over 13,000 accounts. So we're targeting them individually to find out what can we do to help get this conservation goal met. We set new landscape standards for new and major remodeling projects. We're asking that everyone has a rain barrel installed by 2017 to capture that water, 2 rain barrels to capture that water and reuse it to water your plants. Significant capital projects that Valerie will talk about here in just a few minutes. Our rebate program includes a $50 rebate for high-efficiency toilets. You can see washers, dishwashers, weather-based irrigation controllers. We've added rain barrels, so if you use our rebate and the MWD rebate for the rain barrels, they're basically free. The pool covers we've added to the schools to offer to give them weather-based controllers and to give them $2.50 a square feet for up to 2,000 square feet to remove turf and install a drought-tolerant demonstration garden. Synthetic turf, we've kicked up $1 a square foot. To turf removal, we've expanded the maximum amount that you can take out, and we've added a $200 rebate for landscape design services. So if you hire a licensed landscape architect to design your new drought-tolerant area, we're willing to give you a $200 rebate. The water use efficiency audits are probably the best tool we have to help you. They're free, number one. They take about 30 minutes. We come out and we look at your meter to see if there's any possible leaks. We check your toilets and faucets to see if there's any leaks in proper operations. We look at your timers. It's not unusual for us to go out and look at a timer and see someone has the lawn front one area on for 40 minutes and they didn't know it. But that's our goal, is to come out and show you that and hopefully help you get that adjusted right. We check the irrigation system. We introduce the rebate program to you, educate you, and then we'll show you how to get your number. A year from now, 70% of you will have that tool available via computer. In 2 years, everyone will. But right now, we will help you find out what your number is. As I went through that earlier, that's probably the most important thing we can communicate tonight. Our service response pledge is to respond the same day. One of the things that happens a lot is we have a lot of people telling on the neighbors, so they call, and we appreciate that, and we go out and we talk when we can. If no one's home, we leave the green tag, and I want to reiterate the green tag. We're not giving you a fine. We're telling you that there is a violation and we need to fix it, and we're going to follow up with you. And I can tell you, like I said, 99.9% of the time, it's fixed. There's no problem. The biggest thing we see more than anything is excessive runoff. And that's either due to a broken sprinkler or just running the sprinklers too long, or an inefficient irrigation system. So our goal is to make sure that we do everything we can to help educate you, to introduce the rebate program. It's I think the best rebate program and municipal rebate program in Southern California, and it's grown unbelievably this past couple of years, especially with the turf removal program. And because we're able to partner with Metropolitan Water District, you can get our rebate and their rebate. And that means, I can't get that at where I live. And so it's double dipping, but it makes it not only affordable, but it helps encourage everybody to use both of the programs. And then, of course, we want to provide updates to you as often as we can. We do have sign-in sheets for our water use efficiency audits, and includes your email. If you give us your email, we'll send updates to you. If there's a change in the rebate program, if there's information we feel we need to get out to you, we'll send you that. So we really encourage you not only to sign up for the audits because they're free, and I guarantee you we'll show you a way that you will be able to save water. We can contact you and let you know an update on how far along are we with the meter installations and so forth. So we're anxious to do that, and we really encourage, there's 3 sign-up sheets over here we certainly encourage you to use those. As I've mentioned, the turf removal program has been very, very successful. And these are some images of some of our successful projects. There are some rules that we have to meet. You can't just leave it bare. We have to landscape a certain percentage. We can't have all hardscape, but there are a lot of different ways and different things that you can do. Mulch is very popular. Here you have some decomposed granite. Plants don't necessarily have to be in the ground, but this is a nice effect, I think, with the potted plants. And you don't have to do just your front yard. You can do your backyard too. Most people choose to do their front yard. I'm doing both at my house. Here's a nice treatment with some decomposed granite and some nice drought-tolerant landscaping, and very nice walk going around the house. Here's a backyard that was completed using gravel and mulch. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Valerie Escalante to come up and talk to you about what the city's doing.
Thank you, Dave, for all that information. I'm sure you'll have a lot to think about. I'm going to go over capital improvements, but before I do that, I just want to touch up a little bit more on the landscape design incentive. It's a new component to our rebate program. The rebate is available as an incentive for a new landscape design. We are offering this rebate towards any landscape architect that you choose to do a plan for you. However, we do want to encourage and support our local service providers. So you've noticed we have Glendora Gardens as well as Armstrong Garden Center here tonight. So we want to encourage you to visit with them afterwards. Because we know that these service providers have had a big increase in demand, we have come to a partnership agreement with Armstrong Garden Centers where they have agreed as part of their landscape redesign services to make sure that Glendora water customers have priority, and you will be able to get an on-site appointment within 10 days, and they'll provide you with a water-tolerant design within 30 days with the plant list, and also give recommendations on efficient irrigation. So again, please visit with them tonight. As far as what the city is doing and our capital improvements, we as well need to reduce our water consumption. As part of the state regulations, the city is prohibited now from applying water to our turf in our medians, and so we will need to be removing turf from our medians. Turf removal is not new. You've probably been down Grand Avenue and noticed some of our medians there. We have drought-tolerant medians there, as you can see in the photos here. But with the new regulations, we will be speeding up those efforts. Nearly 150,000 square feet of turf will be removed from 44 medians and replaced with water-efficient a plant base. Our main priority, however, will be making sure that our trees stay healthy and alive. We have over 447 trees in our medians. So in order to make sure that they stay alive, we will be placing drip irrigation. We'll be placing 15,000 linear feet of irrigation. And we also want to encourage all of you to make sure you pay attention to your trees, make sure they stay healthy. They're very important. We're a tree city, as was mentioned. If you need any tips as to how you can do that, we invite you to please speak with our Parks Division. They can provide you with some more information on how to do that. As far as our parks and facilities, Community Service Department has went ahead and reviewed the different sites, and they have determined which areas are considered passive as opposed to functional. So a passive park or passive area is going to be an area that doesn't get too much use. It's more of a nice thing to look at, but we don't have too much activity on it. Whereas a functional area will be those areas that have regular activities. They might have sport activities, regular held events, or we just notice that it's a high-use area. So we have identified turf removal projects from 6 parks and 6 facilities for a total of nearly 120,000 square feet. We're going to replace them with a drought-tolerant landscape and make sure that they're still nice to look at, and they'll also provide you as an educational resource for something you might want to consider for doing at your house. For an example, this is City Hall. You'll notice the areas that are outlined in yellow. These were identified as passive areas. These are areas that will be, the turf will be removed and again replaced with a drought-tolerant landscape. The area identified in blue is where we have our war memorial. We have several events there throughout the year, and so that is considered functional, and we will leave that as is. As I mentioned, we have 6 parks and 6 sites that will have new landscape done. Community Services Department does have those plans in the back. I think they've removed outside. If you're interested, you can take a look. All the plans will be presented to the Community Services Commission, and if you're interested in providing input, you can do so on July 16th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. This is a table of our water savings, or the water savings we're proposing. The State Board is going to be comparing us based on our 2013 water use. So the table is going to show water use from 2013 from our facilities, our medians, and our parks. And then in the next column, we have what we anticipate the usage will be from those proposed projects. The water savings we anticipate with the success of the program would be 16 million gallons, or 26.5% of a water savings. And so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to June. Part of our plan is to make sure we bring public awareness to you and make sure you're informed. And so she's going to introduce our website.
So good evening. For those of you who got to be here a little bit early, you saw a slideshow. And that slideshow had images of landscape throughout the city, and it also had images of some of the technology through social media. So for all of those in your life that love social media, the city is doing what it can to provide tips and information through those outlets. So tap into that yourself or through people that you know so that they can give you the heads up when information is being put out by the city. Facebook is one of the tools that's being used. I think there's a Wednesday tip on how to save water. Sometimes it's as simple as if you're brushing your teeth, don't run the water while you're, the toothbrush is in your mouth, don't have the water running out in front of you. So sometimes it's simple things, we get distracted, we don't pay attention, so those little tips are out there to help us as we conserve. Instagram is a nice little tool that shows us pictures. So if you're looking for pictures that are occurring in the city of where drought-tolerant landscapes are occurring, that's a nice tool to use. Go Glendora will be having some episodes that have, the conversation that explains what to do. So pay attention when you get a chance to that information on YouTube and also through the website. For those of you who don't have the smart meters, that's going to take several months for the smart meters to be put in place. So not only do you have the option of calling the city to get information on what your consumption is, but you also have access through the eGov feature that's on the city website. So how many people already pay for their bills through the city website? Any hands that show up? All right, so all of you that do that, you have access to your consumption history and your payment history through the city's website when you go into that eGov feature. And if you're like, well, how do I do that? We've got some printed out instructions, and also on the website, we have a tutorial, that you can look at and see, what do I click next? And that makes it a whole lot easier to figure out how to do it. Sometimes websites can be a lot of fun to navigate. So with that in mind, what we did is we put together a little video that shows you what is on our city website related to water consumption. And so it will be played in just a second. Hang tight.
The City of Glendora's website offers great information, tips, and resources on how customers in the city can respond to the state-mandated conservation regulations anytime, day or night. First, you can access the water conservation pages from the city's homepage by clicking the link on the bottom of the page that reads Water Conservation. This will take you to the Conservation main page. This page serves as the main hub for resources and information. Here you will find links to Governor Brown's executive order, as well as Glendora's Emergency Drought Response Plan. This page also informs you how to report a water leak, excessive runoff, or other water problem, provides contact information for setting a water use efficiency audit, as well as quick tips and links to outside resources, including video. The Community Water Workshop page keeps residents up to date on all the latest water conservation and turf removal workshops. The Mandatory Water Conservation Measures page provides more detail regarding the steps required to conserve, as well as more information on the Residential Gallons Per Capita Day Number, or RGPCD. The Rebate Program page provides detailed information on how to apply for rebate incentives, including a downloadable application. The Turf Removal Program page offers residents a brief history of the program, as well as resources on how to apply. Additionally, residents can view pictures of drought-tolerant landscapes already installed at locations. Finally, residents can easily calculate their own RGPCD number using the online water usage calculator. The city website is a great place to start for information, tips, and resources. If you have questions about water conservation or need additional assistance, please call the Water Division at 626-852-4838.
All right, thank you. So that is available on our website if you want to watch it again. Tonight's program has been recorded so that you go like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of information. How am I going to remember it all? And my buddy didn't get to watch it. So that will be available also on the city website. And at this time, what we're going to do is we've got a lot of questions that you have been writing down faithfully and giving to us. And so I'm going to turn it over to our Public Works Director so that he can start to go through the questions. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to answer all your questions, and if there's something we don't have an answer to tonight, we'll ask you to give us your name and number, and we'll certainly be able to get that information to you. How did you calculate the 2015 RGPCD 36% reduction? From what previous period? The 36% reduction is based on the use in the 3 hottest months of 2013, and then 2014, and then we have to use the baseline of 2013 to compare to. So that was done by the state. That was not done by us, but they looked at our production numbers to make that determination, and what we're comparing to is 2013. What happens if residents reduce 36% or more but still don't meet the monthly RGPCD? Residential lot has acres included. Well, that's what we're looking at in terms of those that are near or at that number. Thank you for conserving. Please hit that number. The mandate is, and for us to get there, is for everybody to reach that actual number that we've shown you. So we understand it's difficult, but that's why we want you to sign up for a water use efficiency audit. We will be monitoring excessive use, and we will be contacting you if the use is excessively high. And then at that point, we will be coming out and giving you that audit. But the best suggestion I have for this question is sign up for an audit. So we can come out and show you what you can do. Since September 2014, I have twice the number of people living in my house. How can they calculate, connect water usage on old billing statements? You don't need to do that. When you calculate your number, you'll be able to divide, remember the formula, you'll be able to divide by the number of people in your household. So, and I've had this question before where someone said, well, I had 2 people living in my house in 2013, now I have 4. And he thought he was going to get hurt. Well, that's good for him because that's going to bring that number down. So obviously, the more people you have in the house, the lower that number is going to be. Clarification on how to determine. Okay. Okay, we'll go through this, and I understand it's difficult to grasp in one sitting. You all have been sent this, and you should have it at home. You didn't throw my letter away, did you? Okay. So we're going to look at this the formula at the top. That's the residential gallons per capita per day equals the usage in units, and you see where the units are on the chart, right? Times 748 gallons, divided by the number in the household, you know what that is, times the days in the service period. In this case, it was 60. Okay? So if you look at the sample, you see that they used 53 units. So they did 53 times 748 on the top of the formula, and then divided that by 3 people times 60 days, which is the billing period. Okay? And that gives them the number. And it obviously changes with the number of people you have in the house. I calculate 39.2% reduction from 2013 to 2015 on your chart. What happened to 36? On the chart includes a slight addition to the 36%. That's a good question. We did add a couple of percentage points to get down there to make a realistic goal. My water service period ended April 23rd. The state requirements of 8% to 36 became effective June 1. If we are to be fined and or have a type of surcharge for usage, will my next bill be separated to slow the usage prior to and after June 1? Well, as I mentioned earlier, our goal is to work with you, not to fine you. And the biggest tool we have to do that are the water use efficiency audits, if you allow us to come out. What we're going to do if we're targeting use that is increased over the 2013, and we will be contacting you if your use is up. Okay, but if you want to know what you can do, please sign up for the water use efficiency audit. What was the RGPCD for May in Glendora? So the 2013 was 239.37. The target is for 145.54. What is, I'm sorry?
What do we actually do? Because they're supposed to be reported to the state by the 15th.
We do the reporting. You don't do any reporting. We do all the reporting to the state. And this is not what it's a different calculation. Help me, so I can answer you.
Oh, well, I know that we report to the state on the 15th, right? I've kind of been watching that from the state website. But I'm just wondering how the city did in general. This May number should be reported now. How did we do? Do you know?
I do.
Are we on our way?
Yeah. So January we didn't do too good, okay? So, but May we did pretty good. And I'm sorry, these are the numbers that the board is reporting. May, they haven't reported May yet, so
So if we did
So-
26% in April, we're probably well on our way.
I would say we are on our way, but look at the cumulative, and remember what I said earlier, if we do 26 this month, we've got to do 46 next month to be on track. Okay, so, but yeah, I would say we're on our way, but the cumulative savings are kind of interesting because, you know, right now, we're at 11%. Okay, we need to be at 36, okay? Yeah. So, the state regularly changes the way they're reporting it. They changed it this week. And to find it, it's very difficult, but you can get on the State Water Resources Board, Control Board site. You can open up a report. It'll take you about a half hour to find it because they list every city in this, you know, and there's no rhyme or reason month to month where you land in there. But so what was for May? Our GPCD for May. I don't believe we calculated that, but it's not 36%. And keep this is overall production. So if you took, of the actual production, if you took 78% of the production, that would tell you what the residential use was, and then we could compare that to 78% of 2013. Does that help? I'm not that quick. So on the city's website, there is a table displaying 2013 RGPCD and target RGPCD for 2015-16. Is this table an example of required reduction, or are these hard numbers that all residents must meet? Why is the reduction on this table 39 instead of 36? Good question. I believe I answered that. I hope I answered it appropriately. Where did these numbers come from? The numbers came from the usage in 2013 that we have to compare to. So this is another good question. How do you apply the one size fits all? That's our frustration. For us to meet the goal, everybody has to meet, regardless of where you are, meet or be below the target number. Okay? Is that fair? No. But is that what we have to deal with? Yes, that's the state mandate. So that's the bottom line. So how can you apply one size fits all for people in condos, lots of over 20,000 square feet? Why aren't we using real numbers parcel by parcel based on parcel size? The condos, they figure into the calculation and they help all of you a great deal because their use is way less. The 20,000 square foot to acreage, that's, you know, the number is the number. We didn't make up the number. You know, that's the mandate from the state. So for us to get there, if everybody in town, if our average of everybody in town meets that target number, we'll make it. And that's what we need to do. What are the repercussions if homeowners reduce consumption but cannot meet Glendora's target RGPCD? Well, as I mentioned earlier, our goal is to partner with you to help you reach that number. You know, if we see that you're doing the best you can, we're still going to encourage you to hit that number, and we're going to do I believe we can show you how to hit that number. Like I said earlier, that your lawn isn't going to be green, you know, but you can keep it alive till we're out of this drought. And so, you know, we talked earlier about fines. We're not here to fine you. We're here to help you. That's why we put out the green tag first. We come and talk to you. We help you get there. You know, to get fined, you really have to just absolutely ignore, pretty much do absolutely nothing. You know, we will work with you. If you show, let's say for example, you show a 20% reduction the first month. Good, that's wonderful. Let us help you get that extra 16%. That's what we're asking.
Good evening. I'm LaShawn Butler, and I'm the Community Services Director. We had a few questions about trees that I would like to try to answer. What is being done to preserve our trees? As we stated, our trees is very important to us. It's one of our priorities. We consider it a city asset. So the trees in our medians is our first priority because those trees are used to receiving water on a more regular basis. So we are going to make sure we install some drip irrigation to those trees. You probably have seen water bags out in the medians for our young trees. We've had a lot of trees newly planted from grants and such, so we want to make sure that we put water on those trees. We've noticed the oaks dying along Foothill Boulevard. And all the trees dying in the marketplace. We did notice that the trees on Foothill is stressed a bit, and I do have Raquel Cepeda back there, who is our city arborist, who could help you understand some of the things that we are going to do to make sure that we preserve our oak trees. They're very important to us. What we do is drive around the city a couple of times a week to make sure that we put water out to the trees that we see that are particularly stressed. So we are concerned about our oaks, and we do on a regular basis inspect those. The trees dying at the marketplace, I can't say that I've noticed that, but what we can commit to is going over to the marketplace and inspecting and looking at those trees and maybe talking with the owners that may own those trees and see what the problem is there and making sure that they just didn't shut off the irrigation. Again, our trees are definitely very important. If you have a number of avocado trees, will there be a agricultural discount or an allotment? There wouldn't be an allotment per se, but we would encourage that you still go ahead and water your trees. We did put out an article in the Glendora report on how to best water citrus, avocado trees, and different types of fruit trees. So we suggest that if you have any questions on how much water an avocado tree might need versus orange trees or apple, please do go ahead and see Raquel Cepeda, and she could help you out with that. We wouldn't want to have any of our avocados go to waste. Do I have any other tree questions? Okay.
Most residents do not have their old water bills and cannot calculate the drastic reductions the city is demanding. How can the residents get the prior water usage numbers? Our finance department is here tonight to provide that for you. And you can also call them, and you can access it on your website if you, as Director Overholt mentioned. So we are able to give you those numbers. We have a large lot with only 2 occupants in the house. If we try to reduce our GPCD goal, we would have to cut by 90% or more. Will this be required, or 36 back? You have to reach the number, but that's why we encourage you to let us come and help you try to do that. If we see a great effort on your part, I mean, we're not going to single you out and solicit, try to fine you or anything like that. We need you to get the best you can. But I can tell you, you can get there. I have 3 people living in my house. I have a big lot. I have a pool. And I just reduced my number down to 60. And if prior to doing that, I was still because I took out my back lawn, I still meet the number. So that's why we were really pushing the turf removal, a part of your yard, whatever. But that's the easiest and quickest way to get there. I live by myself, so 1 person in our house. However, often my relatives do visit me. What would offset? I think it's important. We're not checking how many people are living in your house. We're trusting you to do that. Okay? We're not going door to door to see. I had somebody ask me if they could count their dogs. And we're trusting you because we believe our citizens can do this. So if you have somebody come in, that's a valid question. Figure out on the billing period for those many days you have that many people, and just do an average over the billing period. That's absolutely a legitimate question. If you have the extra people at the house, your number goes down. We're having my son and his family visit, 7 people. Lucky you. For 3 weeks. Can adjustments be made? Yes, but we're trusting you to make the adjustment. We're trusting you to track your number. We're looking at consumption, okay, to look to find, try to think about how, with 13,000 plus customers, if we were to try to, we'd have to ask you how many people are living in your house, right? We can't do that. I'm going to Europe for a month. I cannot adjust for rain or leak. Can we notify city we will be gone? You can notify us, but we would prefer that you talk to a neighbor and you put your automatic sprinklers back to 2 days a week, and I think you'll be just fine. The reduction in watering is going to have a huge impact. In some cases, that in and of itself, if you behave, will actually get you there. So, you know, that's why if we come out, we can look at your consumption history before we come out and have an idea, okay, what percentage you need to get to, and we can help you try to understand how to get there. If I am new to Glendora I'm new to Glendora since 2014, how do I know what the usage was in 2013? Well, finance can give you that information, but we're certainly not going to penalize you for prior use. So your goal will be to meet the current residential per capita per day use. For a family new to the city, how will the city know how many live at the residence? Well, we don't. So we're trusting you. How is the household number established? That's by how many people are living in the house, or your relatives are over, dogs don't count. How many gallons per person is allocated by day, and that's on the chart for each month. And we've sent that out to you as well. That's how many gallons per person per day that you may use. Okay? Does the size of your lot figure into the cubic feet allowed? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. This is the difficulty. For example, if you have a really big lot, you might qualify to go to a larger meter, which will make your bill less, right? You'll pay less on your water bill. We don't have that option with the state mandate. It is what it is. There's no enjoyment we have telling you that these mandates have to be met, but this is what we're dealing with. What happens when you have relatives staying with your home? Good for you. Invite all your relatives. Invite them all over. I understand we, Glendora, have 2 contaminated wells. What have we been doing to restore these wells? Do we have any reclamation plans for the future? We're doing proposing, I should say, a study to look at what it would take to rehabilitate and put in a treatment for one of those wells. We've already done a study for another. It's a very expensive proposition, but it's something we are looking at, and if the study goes the way we hope, there's a potential that we'll be putting in a treatment plant at one of our wells. Or do we have any reclamation goals, plans for the future? You know, we've applied for some of the grants that would have enabled us to do a sewer reclamation plant. We didn't get any of those. They're very expensive to put in. To do reclaimed water here is very difficult because we're at the top of the hill. So we don't have the water here to reclaim. So it would have to come from somewhere else, and then you'd have to put the infrastructure in to deliver that water. So it's not practical for us because of our location up against the foothills. Are there any plans, incentives to convert gray water for landscaping? Now, that's a great question, and yes, there are. You can, and what I would encourage you to do is to come into our Building and Safety Division. If you're just using your laundry, we can show you how you can do that, and you don't even need a permit for that. Okay? But if you're doing a gray water system that includes your sinks, obviously we can't include the toilets, and your bathtubs and your showers, there's a process you have to go through, and there's 2 levels of types of gray water systems that are available. The permits aren't that bad. It would be something we would sit down with you. This is only very few people have asked this question. We're kind of excited about it. So what I'm offering is for our staff to help you develop the plans to put that system together. So we'll have some questions. We would have a meet with you initially in Building and Safety, and then we would ask you questions. You'd have to go answer these questions, and we would help you design that system and highly encourage you to put it in. The hardest one is if you're on a slab. because that means you're tearing up the slab. But if you have a raised foundation, it's a wonderful opportunity and something that we highly encourage.
Dave, I think you missed an important question. You said dogs don't count, but what about cats? I tried, guys, I tried. All right, I have a question here. It says, what is the exact service period? My bill shows, for example, 2/12 through 4/9, and then the next bill showed 4/9 through 6/4. Are the start and stop dates counted twice? And the answer is no, because when the guys who read the meter go out, their devices have what the last read was and then what the new read is. So the bill may have shown that, but you're only being billed for what the actual usage is. And that shows up on the bill, and you saw an example earlier.
Okay, my household has been cutting back on water use for the last 4 years. What will happen to us in terms of financial penalties if we cannot meet the additional reduction in our household use? I've done my best to try to explain that we want to work with you. We don't want to fine you. We want to educate you. We want to help you reach the goal. If someone absolutely refuses, they're watering 5 days a week, their lawn is greener and green come the end of August, chances are they're going to get a fine. Okay, but that is not our goal. Our goal is to partner with you, and doing what we've already done, that you have already done, to get us to the over 12% since 2008. That's our goal. What is the fine if you don't meet the 36% reduction? Well, the fine is a three-step thing. The initial fine, if we had to impose it, would be $250. And then that would be every 3 days. If the violation isn't taken care of, you get another $250 fine. And then at some point, we would, if we had to decide to go to a $1,000 fine, we would do that. And that could be assessable per day. I hope I've made myself clear enough. That's not our intent. Our intent is to work with you to reach those goals. How do I get my 2013 bill? Right over here. $10,000 fine. I thought state legislation said no fines for resources like water. Well, if we don't meet the goal, the city could be fined $10,000 per day.
Who got some money?
The state. I have some ideas where it might be going, but you have said that the state can fine cities $10,000 per day for noncompliance. With 50,000 read, is that just 20 cents per person per day? Why don't we just pay the fine? And add it to our water bills and keep Glendora green. Well, the other part of that is they could also issue a cease and desist order, and at that point the money won't make a bit of difference. But that's pretty funny. When was target set? Those who already started conserving are being punished. Why did we bother before now? That's not true. As I've told you all night, if you're already conserving, you only have to get to that number. And if you're there, thank you. Keep the good work up. That simply isn't true. We're asked. Everybody has to get to that number. What is the city going to do with the money you collect from penalties? Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Trip to Hawaii, maybe? I don't expect to be collecting very much money, and it would go into our water fund, and that's where the fines would go. Are cities and countries in California ready or willing to change codes to allow the use of composting and/or incinerating toilets? This is a solid household water saving measure, especially the incinerating toilets with a solar panel for operation. To put those in, the incinerating toilets, I believe there are a couple that are approved in the plumbing code. So that is something, and it does require a permit, but you could put that in. The composting, our planning department gives away compost bins, so you can already do that. You can water your lawn 2 days a week, but for how long? It's 10 minutes per station. 10 minutes per station. I have been conserving water for 3 years. We have low flow toilets and faucets. Our pool is covered, and we do what we can to save. Will we be required to reduce more than we already have? Yes. We don't know how we can reduce any further. Please sign up for an audit. I would say in this case, you're really on the road, and you're probably really getting close to that number already. So by reducing your watering as mandated by the state, you're probably going to be very close to that. We don't know how we can do, okay, we stop watering our grass. You'll make it, trust me. For people who already been conserving, will it be fined and with new restrictions? No. I've tried very hard to make that clear.
Okay, the question is, if artificial turf is being installed at Pompey Park, is it a plastic material, and does it need to be kept wet in order from burning the children? It is a type of plastic material. It is a fiber type of material. It won't burn the children, but we can cool it down in hot seasons. So that's something that's done hours in the morning, not hours, but in the morning time, well before the kids play on it. So no, it won't burn the kids when they play on it, and there is ways to cool it down. And there's also different types of infill that you can put on the artificial turf. If you use the rubber infill, it's much hotter. If you use organic infill, it lowers the temperature by 10 degrees. So it really kind of depends on what infill you use.
I thought I was going to dodge a question tonight, but my name's Tim Staub. I'm the police chief. Will the police department cease handing out fines for brown lawns? We've never, code enforcement has never issued a citation for brown lawns, but our code enforcement is still robust, and we still require people to maintain their properties, whether it's overgrown brush or disrepair to their homes. Code enforcement's still in business. Listen, folks, but we don't fine people for brown lawns.
Okay, lawn is on a slope. How do you prevent runoff even with watering time cut back? Well, if you're having runoff, your sprinklers are inefficient. My lawn is also on a slope, a pretty steep one, and I don't have any runoff. So the adjustment to your sprinklers will help there. Again, if we come out and do an audit, we can help you. We can help show you how to achieve that. Water 2 days per week for how long? 10 minutes per station. I installed a smart weather-based timer. Do I have to switch it to manual so I only water 2 times a week? Yes, you do. Are new water meters going to be installed? Yes. Are meters actually read, or are they estimated? They are actually read via a computer. Via satellite with antennas, and they are read every hour on the hour, and it is the most accurate reading and the most accurate meters that are available. What is the city going to do with the curbs, green areas? Are you going to use the turf? Well, as Valerie mentioned earlier, and LaShawn may want to chime in here, but we have a plan to reduce a significant amount of our turf throughout, including around City Hall, on the medians, reducing turf in the parks, while keeping the active areas playable. We're currently doing a project down at Pompey Park where we're adding synthetic turf for a soccer field. We'll also have significant water savings. Did you want to add anything to that? Okay. Please talk about verifying city employees versus thieves. Good, this is good. Because we know this happens. Poses city workers to gain access to your home. So Scott, John, and Mondo, could you step forward, please? They will always have the they have an ID on them, and we are adding a picture ID for them to carry with them, so there will be absolutely no mistake. They'll have that ID on around their neck. So yes, always verify. And if you're unsure, one of the ones we've heard of is people say, "I'm working for the city, and I can do your landscaping for you for a good price." They don't work for the city. That's one we've heard a lot of. Another one is they're coming out and offering to put in a conservation device. Please check our IDs, always. Every city employee has to have the identification on them. Our water conservation staff always has a shirt on that shows the Glendora insignia, and they always have their identification with them. Does a $50 rebate for the rain barrel apply if the rain barrel was bought online and picked up at a store in Glendora? If the store is in Glendora, yes. No online sales. I'm mistaken. Okay, okay. So because there's no sales tax. Well, the tax doesn't. The problem is the sales tax doesn't go to Glendora. So if it goes through, if you pick it, when you buy it, like say from Home Depot, that comes from a warehouse, and that state gets credit for the sale. So Glendora, or another city in California. So Glendora doesn't get the sales tax revenue, which is the purpose of buying it in town. Is there a large-scale plan to deal with saving rainwater other than rainwater barrels at the residential sites? Yes. Currently, for any new construction, new single-family residence, all commercial construction, the easiest way to explain it is the first 3/4 inches of rainfall have to be retained on site. We're adding that requirement to residential room additions. So in addition to the rain barrels, that will now be required for additions to existing homes. Explain how rain barrels work. Where does one put them? The rain barrels are used to collect the water off of the roof. So typically we have one, actually if you want to see one, we have one close to the rear entrance of City Hall, and you can see exactly how that works. The downspout from the gutter goes into the rain barrel, collects the water, and then we use that water to water the plants around City Hall.
Dave, how are they going to account for new construction in the formula?
I'm sorry?
How are our numbers citywide going to account for new water coming online in terms of residential apartments, condos, homes? We're chasing a growing number.
So in terms of what they're allowed to use?
No, what the city's going to report. I mean, citywide, we've got to reduce 37%, but we're adding new water load to the city with new construction.
Well, the way
How does that formulate in?
Well, in the case of say a multifamily residence, it'll work very favorably overall to the usage because.
Well, down here they're going to have millions of gallons a month.
Yeah, but they're not using their residential per capita per day use will be way below what the state requirement is.
But the gross is growing.
No, but
Where it's offsetting.
the way the formula works is you divide by the actual population.
It has nothing to do with how much you use.
Well, no, it does, because if it's an average of what the.
If you add 50,000 more people to Glendora.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Consume more water.
Yes.
This is just a number. If you add 5,000 at the corner of Glendora Avenue, the total amount of water being used, regardless of how you pare it down on a person basis, the gross amount of water used in the city goes up.
We understand that, but the formula that we submit to the state is based on the production numbers as compared to 2013. So if you add, so that production goes up, say, I'll just use a number, an acre foot a month, okay? The additional population can be used in the calculation, so that's accounted for. Does that make sense? I'm trying to answer your question.
That makes sense. It's fictitious because that just says you need 4
Well, let me try to give a quick answer. We still have a lot of questions. We want to try to have time for everybody to get to the tables, so sign up, and get home before the witching hour. Two things, fact. Those residencies aren't going to come online, other than Avalon Bay, probably won't come online till November
full. So all the other developments aren't even going to be built and online before February of 2016. So worrying about what consumption they have or not with this program is a theoretical exercise at this point. But in reality, multifamily, if we did you remember the pie chart that was up here? Yeah. That's a single family use. So if you look at a multifamily, that landscape part, instead of being 50 or 60%, is probably about 20%. And their gross number per month, per unit, is probably around, I'm going to guess, around 75 to 80. So they're using basically just that internal usage amount. Their landscape process, if you go down to Glendora Station, you can see a perfect example. No turf. It's all drought-tolerant plants, and they all use a bubbler or drip or some type of efficient weather-based sprinkler system. And I can tell you their monthly use for all 53 units runs about 110,000 gallons. So you can see how they're coming down. So it's not millions of gallons a month. It's much less it goes through. So I think what Dave was trying to explain, in the big scheme of things, how this number is working with the state is actually going to advance. But it's theoretical because those units aren't going to be occupied during now and February of 2016. Yes, ma'am. Avalon Bay, as I said, will be fully occupied probably sometime around November. They still have a lot of units to complete. They have started on the FAR units to move in, but that's only about 12 families. So working through that. Okay? You got some more?
Someone will have to help me with this question. Can you talk about UC Verde? Yes.
That's the drought-resistant lawn that Riverside.
Okay. Are you familiar with that? I will look this up for you. Would you be kind enough to give me your phone number or email address, and I'll be happy to look it up for you, okay?
I mean, I just planted it, but it's not sure talk about it.
Okay. If you would, please. How do I find out when I will get my smart meter? Well, if you have a radio read meter, you'll have a smart meter probably in about 3 months or less. If you are one of the 1,000 top users, you'll have a smart meter in about 3 to 4 months. From there, we will do it in with the most efficient way to actually install the meters. But we will be able to, if you wanted to contact our water division, we can tell you what type of meter you do have, and that would help because about half of them are going to be converted very quickly, so we can get that program up and running so you can monitor your usage. What about a hot water recirculating system? Any rebate allowance for that? Currently, we do not have one. Right now we're targeting the high efficiency indoor appliances and toilets, and outdoor where most of the water is used.
As you can see, we got people coming in two different factions right now. So I'm going to try to summarize some of the other questions. Let me make this promise. My name is Chris Jeffers. I'm the city manager. I want to, if we could have people. Thank you. Thank you. So if I could ask everyone, I'm going to try to go through this. We do appreciate you coming out tonight. We're going to have another seminar on July 9th. Same time, we invite you to come out. As was mentioned, this will be taped and go through. Our staff is going to be up here, so if you still have questions that are specific, we invite you to come up and try to answer it. I'm just going to go through a couple of these themes. If I could, again, if we can keep the conversation, we're going to try to get you done in about 3 minutes so that you do have time to go to the tables. What if the El Nino comes? Do we revert back to pre-drought rates? We don't know. That's going to be up to the state. This is, again, a state mandate. El Nino, we won't know the effects of that really till the snowpack melts next spring. And so it's up to Mother Nature as we go through that. we have several questions about fixed income people having large properties. You know, what are they going to do? Again, we invite you to come talk to us, do the water efficiency audit. Regardless of whether you're on fixed income, large properties, there's ways to conserve, and we need to have you work with us so that we can help work that process through as we go through that. What happens if somebody has health issues? My son has Crohn's. Great question. Again, we invite you to come talk to us. We need to get your information, and we will work with you to make those special circumstances work. We understand this is a one-size-fits-all. Again, it's as frustrating for you as it is for us as we go through that. Will the $10,000 fine be charged back to residents? Again, our goal is not to get fined, and we can do it. We really can. What is being required of agriculture? Again, it's a broader issue. The state is looking at agricultural, but they set the rules, and we'll stay tuned to what happens with agricultural and environmental use on water as we go through that. I noticed the Water Division drives around during the week. Are they going to be looking around on weekends? My neighbor washes 5 cars. His address is, I won't give that. We thank you for that. Is there anybody else who wants to turn in a neighbor? Please raise a hand. We'll get you a card, and you can do that. What about folks? What do folks do when they built swimming pools? Great question. Swimming pools themselves don't use the water. We have, as Dave went over, we have the pool covers that help slow down the evaporation, and that's really where the water usage comes, is having to refill either on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, depending on all that. So we really encourage you to get the pool covers, slow that evaporation down, and you do it. And as Dave says, between us and MWD, it's basically free as you get through that. So will the city have to file for BK if we don't meet this? The answer is no. We're not going to file for BK because we're not going to spend millions and millions of dollars on lawyers fighting IOUs and through that. That makes no sense. Can I stop watering grass in my parkway, you know, the area that's between the sidewalk and the street? The answer is yes. But we also encourage you to look at the turf removal. We have programs and ideas that we can help make that a more aesthetically pleasing and long-term cut down that water, so that's eligible for the turf removal too.
Can you still water the tree there?
Yes, you still need to please water the tree. We want to save our trees. That's part of Glendora's heritage, is the trees. No watering outdoors within 48 hours of rain. I've seen medians being watered during rain. Absolutely, but you know what? You're not going to see a median being watered now during the rain because we've turned off the water to the medians. So you won't be seeing that. I spoke to the water personnel who gave wrong, conflicting information and admitted they don't understand the program. Absolutely, we are spending as much time with you, trying to educate you and talk to you about the elements as we are internally with staff. I know Dave and our team meets weekly. We go over this to make sure that we're up to date on the questions that are coming in both by email, by phone, and over the counter, so that we're answering those questions and we know what the answer is, so we give you the most accurate information. Again, I give a plug for our website and our social media, because that's where you're going to find the best information as you go through that process. Is it true that only most homeowners can possibly achieve drastic reductions by removing their lawns and mature landscape? It's true that you're going to have to reduce watering to your landscape. You don't have to remove it. If you maintain it, mow it, dead grass, and keeping the weeds down, you're fine. But we think that you want a better curb appeal. And there's a way to do that, and we're willing to help with you to work through that process. Droughts come and go in California. There will be an end to this drought. Yet, there will be another drought that comes on our doorsteps. And so I think what we're trying to say as a culture and as a state, we've got to rethink. We live in a desert. And as much as we love turf, I love it. I grew up with turf, feeling it barefoot. I mean, there's nothing better than turf on your bare feet, is there not? Kids love to play in grass. My mom hated the grass stains, but they loved the turf. But we have to rethink of it. We have to think of smaller areas and more wiser use of our landscape as we go through that. With installation of drought-tolerant landscape, qualify my house to be reassessed? Answer is no. The county's not going to know that you've redone your landscape. That's not part of the reassessment. You want to build onto your house? They're going to know. But the landscape itself is not going to be part of that. So that's not going to affect you. Can we receive both a city and rebate and an MWD rebate? Absolutely. We have the table back there. We have our rebate experts that are going to help you work through that process. Why does grass have to be green to qualify for the rebate to remove it? I'm going to leave that to MWD. That's their policy for their rebate. It's not for ours, okay? I don't control MWD's rules and regulations. I'm sure they have a rationale, but we have 3 valleys there that's willing to take the bullet for that, and they'll be able to help you with that. Will the city be doing mulch giveaway like they do in compost with compost? We'll take a look at that. We'll consider that. You know, this is an evolving program. We're looking at all the ideas. That's a great idea. We're going to consider it. And if there's other ways that you think we can help achieve this, please let us know. Email us, call us, work through that, and we'll get through there. Why do I have to buy plants in Glendora nursery locations? If you want just the MWD rebate, the answer is no. You don't have to buy locally. If you want ours, we have a philosophy. We want to support the small businesses of our community. They're the backbone of our community. They make what's Glendora so special. And we think we have the businesses here that can provide those programs. And we think if we're going to use our tax dollars, we want to keep those tax dollars local so they regenerate, keep jobs here locally, support businesses, and so forth. So that's really the purpose of that, is we want to help support our local businesses. Why isn't the meeting televised? Well, it's going to be videotaped. We don't have a satellite truck like 7 TV or Channel 4, so we can't televise it through that. But this will be replayed once Craig has an opportunity to format it and get it down, and it's usually probably within about no more than 72 hours this will be part of that process. We are at 8:35. I know a lot of you want to get to some of these tables. If you have questions, we'll do that. We are going to keep all these questions. We'll try to put them on our webpage so you'll also see them. You can refer back to them. Again, I invite you to come and talk to us. We'll be here. So again, I want to extend a hearty thank you from the City Council and from the city staff. Thank you very much.